Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Motorsports on Forever Sports. The Monaco Free Practice 2 session has just finished, and a very interesting session it was indeed. And just to give you the final results straight away, Max Verstappen finished and topped the charts with a 1 minute 12 seconds 0.6 fastest lap on a set of soft tyres. Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari, as well as Carlos Sainz, his fellow teammate, in second and third, right on his tail. Carlos Sainz just 0.065 seconds behind Max Verstappen, and Carlos Sainz with a 1 minute 12 seconds 0.569. And notably also crashing out in the session at just about 15 minutes left to go.
Around 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
Yes, so a very good session for sure. Max Verstappen should be very happy at the end of that session after his woes in FP1. He was not so happy due to a lot of bottoming out on his car and a lot of bouncing on the rear end, but they seem to have been able to sort those issues for Free Practice 2. Max Verstappen then topping the timesheets by the end of that session with a 1:12.462 seconds. His teammate, though, unfortunately not finding that same pace that Max Verstappen was able to have, only finishing all the way down in seventh place for Sergio Perez with a 1:12.991, almost half a second slower than his teammate. Rather interesting though for Sergio Perez, who's normally the king of street circuits, not the king of Monaco by the looks of it this weekend as of yet.
Indeed, and looking at the Mercedes cars, of course, that's where all the talk is for this weekend. We've got Lando Norris beating Lewis Hamilton, however, Lewis Hamilton only in 6th, so that McLaren managed to get quicker than the Mercedes, even with Mercedes' upgrades so far. So big news with regards to Lando Norris, putting in the 5th fastest time. But nonetheless, Lewis Hamilton managing to find a lot more time in this car compared to his teammate George Russell, who's all the way down in 12th.
Yes, Lando Norris with that upgrade on the McLaren, they just have a few little suspension upgrades, as well as I think a bit of a rear wing upgrade. Of course, most of the teams this weekend are bringing their highest downforce rear wing due to the fact that Monaco is such a downforce dependent track. But Lewis Hamilton, as you said, finding some great pace with that upgrade in Mercedes. His teammate, though, seeming to struggle in both sessions so far, possibly because he just needs to adapt his driving a little bit more to this newly upgraded Mercedes car. But George Russell all the way down in P12 with Hamilton up in P6.
Yeah, and another talking point, of course, is we go and look at Aston Martin. We go and see Fernando Alonso, Mr. Consistent, who was 3rd for most of that session and was pushed out right near the end by Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz before that little crash. Fernando Alonso, however, looking very quick around the track still, and I think he's got quite a bit of pace still to find tomorrow, hopefully. And so it could all be to race for in the qualifying session that'll happen tomorrow. And of course, we will be streaming that as well, so be sure to stick around on the channel. But Fernando Alonso's teammate, Lance Stroll, could only put his quickest lap in on a set of mediums. So even though he was on softs, he wasn't able to put in a quicker lap. So Lance Stroll all the way down in 11th, so not a great free practice session for the second drivers, basically, because we look at the grid, we see Lando Norris all the way up in 5th, his teammate 18th. We go and look at Fernando Alonso in 4th, his teammate 11th. Lewis Hamilton in 6th, his teammate 12th. Sergio Perez is 7th, Max Verstappen in 1st. So the only drivers in the big teams that managed to put in consistent times right with each other were that of the Ferraris, Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz.
Yes, also just to take you through the rest of the grid there, we went up to Lando Norris, then we have Lewis Hamilton in 6th, Sergio Perez, as we said earlier, in 7th. Quite an interesting outlier is Valtteri Bottas in 8th in that Alfa Romeo, then followed by the 2 Alpines of Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon 9th and 10th. Lance Stroll, as we said, in P11, quite a way off of his teammate, who's all the way up into 4th at the moment. George Russell, then the second Mercedes, certainly looking like that second Mercedes at the moment, all the way down in 12th. Guan Yu Zhou in P13 at the moment, very far off the pace as well of his teammate. Kevin Magnussen then, the first of the 2 Haas's, in 14th, and then 15th for Nico Hülkenberg. The Japanese driver Yuki Tsunoda down in 16th at the moment, with Nick de Vries closely behind in 17th. Oscar Piastri, then the second McLaren, also not looking like he's so comfortable at the moment in that McLaren car, which has been having trouble all year long so far, all the way down in 18th. Then Alex Albon, after his massive shunt in FP1, was able to get some running in FP2, but was only able to promote himself up into 19th place ahead of his teammate Logan Sargent. Once again, all the way down in P20. Sargent once again having a shocker of a race weekend. He just does not seem to find any pace.
No, and I think his driver's seat might come into threat soon if these times don't start to improve. And I think, unfortunately for Williams so far, for the first couple of race weekends, everybody was impressed with how they were doing. They seem to have fallen right back into their spot at the very back of the grid. 19th and 20th after that free practice 2 session. But of course, we've got 2 more sessions before the race for these drivers to try and find some pace, and lots of pace still, I think, to be found on this track. Of course, going to be all to race for the qualifier tomorrow, but there is one practice session before that as well, and lots of other racing happening in Monaco this weekend. We've got F2 and F3 also taking part. So yeah, great way to stick around for the weekend, and be sure to stay on the channel Forever Motorsports, which is going to be found on Forever Sports. Reese, any other final comments from that second practice session?
Well, not too much, of course. It's some good data for us to have a look at. Interesting to see Max Verstappen was able to pull himself up into the first position once again after that FP1 session where he was not so happy. Interesting though to see Charles Leclerc being able to leapfrog his teammate Carlos Sainz, who was on top in FP1. But we'll have to wait until qualifying tomorrow evening to see if Charles Leclerc can once again take pole in the Principality.
Yeah, can he actually go and do something decent in Monaco? Hopefully he can represent the home crowd very, very well. Now let's, guys, just to run you through the top 5 one more time. Max Verstappen 1, Charles Leclerc 2, Carlos Sainz 3, Fernando Alonso 4, and Lando Norris in 5th, just ahead of Lewis Hamilton. I thought I should add that there. In 6th, Sergio Perez in 7th, Valtteri Bottas in 8th, Pierre Gasly 9th, and Esteban Ocon 10, and then there's the other 10 we don't seem to care about really. Nonetheless, guys, thank you so much for watching Forever Motorsports on Forever Sports. I have been Mark, Reese has been Reese, and we will of course check you in the next stream. And be sure to stick around the channel, subscribe, and like all of our videos for more content. Thank you guys so much for watching. Goodbye.